There is a single sentence that, when said the right way, at the right moment, with the right energy behind it, can make a woman feel more seen, more desired, and more emotionally safe than anything she has experienced in years. Most men will never say it, not because they don't care, not because they aren't good people, but because nobody ever taught them the difference between a compliment that lands on the surface and one that reaches all the way down into a woman's soul. You already know what a surface compliment sounds like. You're beautiful. You look great. You seem amazing. She smiles, says thank you, and 30 seconds later, it's completely gone. No real shift, no electricity, no moment she replays in her mind later that night. But there is a different kind of compliment, one that doesn't target her appearance, one that reaches her in a place she didn't expect to be touched. When you understand how to give that kind of compliment, something changes permanently in the way women respond to you. Today, we are covering 6 specific compliments grounded in real human psychology that make a woman feel wanted, not just as a body in the room, but as a person whose presence genuinely matters. Stay with me through to the end, because compliment number 6 is the one most men are too afraid to say, and it is the one that changes everything. Intro. Welcome back to Secrets Inside the Mind. I'm Liza. This is a channel where we talk about real psychology, real human connection, and the honest, sometimes uncomfortable truths about what actually creates attraction and intimacy between people. I post every single day, so if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that right now and turn on your notifications. I don't want you to miss a single video. Now, let's get into this, because what you're about to learn is going to shift something real in the way you communicate with the women in your life. The foundation: why most compliments fail. Before we get to the 6 compliments, I need to explain something most men have never had properly explained. And it is the reason why so much of what men say to women lands flat, no matter how well-intentioned it is. Women, especially women who have lived enough life to know the difference between genuine appreciation and empty flattery, are not primarily moved by what you say. They are moved by what your words reveal about how carefully you see them. A compliment doesn't create emotion because of the words themselves. It creates emotion because of what those words communicate about the depth of your attention. When you tell a woman she's beautiful, and she has heard that 1,000 times from 1,000 different people, what she registers is that you notice something anyone in the room could have noticed. Her appearance is visible to everyone. Commenting on it tells her nothing about how carefully you have been paying attention to her specifically. But when you say something that could only have been said about her, something that reflects a quality that is distinctly, specifically, unmistakably hers, that is when her whole nervous system responds. Because now she knows something she didn't know a moment ago. She knows you were actually paying attention, not performing attention, not going through the motions. You were genuinely present enough to see something real, and being truly seen is one of the deepest hungers in the human heart. Most people spend their entire lives searching for it. When you give someone that experience through a compliment that is specific, honest, and delivered with calm, masculine presence, the effect is profound. That is the psychology behind everything we are covering today. And one more thing before we start. None of this is manipulation. These are compliments that work because they are honest, because they reflect real things you have genuinely noticed about a real person. A stoic man doesn't speak to fill silence. He chooses his words with intention and with truth. That is the energy behind all 6 of these. Compliment 1. The compliment that touches her presence, not her appearance. The first compliment is the one most men never think to give, and one of the most powerful ones that exists. It is not about how she looks. It is about something far more intimate than that. It is about how her presence affects you. Here is the compliment. There's something about the way you carry yourself that I can't quite put into words, but I feel it. Or a variation. When you walk into a room, something changes. I don't think you realize how much. Why does this land so deeply? Because most compliments are directed at a woman from the outside in. They are about what you see when you look at her. But this compliment moves in a completely different direction. It is about what you feel in her presence. It is about the invisible effect she has on the energy around her without even trying. Women, especially women who have spent years feeling noticed only for how they look, are almost never complimented on this. Nobody tells them that their presence has weight. Nobody acknowledges that the simple fact of them being in a room changes something. When you do that, you are telling her she has a force, an energy, a quality that affects the people around her simply by existing. That is a profoundly different message than telling her she looks nice, and a woman's heart knows the difference immediately. The key to delivering this compliment correctly is composure. You cannot rush it. You cannot deliver it with nervous energy or while seeking approval. It has to land slowly, simply, truthfully, like you are stating something you have genuinely observed. When it comes from that place, it is unforgettable. Compliment 2. The compliment that honors her mind. The second compliment is one that mature women crave more than almost any other kind of recognition. It honors her intelligence, but not in the generic way most men attempt. Here is the compliment. The way your mind works, I genuinely find it one of the most attractive things about you. Or an even more powerful version. I've been thinking about what you said earlier. Your perspective on that stays with me. The second version is often more powerful because when you come back to something specific, a woman said in a previous conversation, and tell her it is still living in your mind, you communicate something no amount of flattery can replicate. You communicate that she mattered to you long after the moment was over. For a woman who has spent years feeling appreciated primarily for how she looks, being told that her mind has that kind of lasting impact is genuinely transformative. For women in their 40s and 50s especially, this hits differently. A woman at that stage of life has had decades to develop her perspective. She has earned her intelligence through everything she has survived and built and learned. When a man acknowledges that intelligence as a source of genuine attraction, she doesn't feel flattered. She feels understood. She feels seen in a way that goes far beneath the surface. The critical thing here is specificity. Saying "you're so smart" lands like polite noise, but referencing something real she actually said and telling her it changed how you think, that tells her you absorbed her deeply enough that her words are still with you. That specificity is what transforms a compliment from pleasant noise into a moment she remembers. Subscribe reminder. By the way, if this is already shifting something in how you think, please take 2 seconds and subscribe to Secrets Inside the Mind right now. I'm Liza. I post every single day, and I don't want you to miss the compliments still coming because they go even deeper than these first two. Hit that subscribe button and let's keep going. Compliment 3. The compliment that recognizes her realness. We live in a world that rewards performance. Social media has trained people to filter themselves constantly, to show the world the version that gets the most approval, which means a woman who is genuinely, authentically, unapologetically herself, without performance, without filter, without mask, is extraordinarily rare. And when you meet a woman like that, there is a compliment that reaches her unlike anything else. You don't pretend, you're just real, and that is genuinely rare. Here is the psychological power behind this one. Authenticity costs something. Staying genuinely yourself despite the constant pressure to perform, requires a quiet kind of courage that most people abandon long before they reach middle age. A woman who has held on to her realness has done so despite everything that tried to take it from her. When you name that clearly and directly, you are not just giving her a compliment, you are honoring something she has fought to keep. And being honored for something you fought to keep is an entirely different experience from being complimented on something you were simply born with. When you tell her her authenticity is what draws you in, you give her permission to relax even more fully into herself around you. She doesn't have to perform, she doesn't have to filter, she can simply be. And that version of her, that completely unguarded real version, is always the most magnetic one. Compliment 4, the compliment that names her energy. Here is one that most men feel but never say because they don't know how to put it into words without sounding vague. But when it is delivered with specificity and masculine calm, it is one of the most emotionally resonant compliments that exists. There's an energy you carry that I don't feel often, and I want you to know it stays with me. Or a more specific version, you have this way of making everything around you feel calmer. I felt it the moment we started talking. Here is why energy compliments work so profoundly with mature women. Women pour their energy into the world constantly, into their families, their careers, their relationships, their communities. They hold things together. They regulate the emotional temperature of the spaces they inhabit. They carry other people's weight alongside their own. And almost never does anyone look at a woman and acknowledge the specific feeling her presence creates. When you do that, when you name the invisible effect she has, not on her appearance, but on the actual atmosphere of a room, you reach something she didn't know was waiting to be reached. Because energy is deeply personal, it is not something she can manufacture or put on. It is simply who she is, expressed outwardly. Telling her that her authentic energy, the one she carries without effort or intention, is the thing that draws you in, tells her she doesn't need to be anything other than exactly herself. That is one of the most relieving things a woman can hear. Subscribe reminder. We are almost at the final 2 compliments, and they are honestly the most powerful ones in this entire video. Before we get there, please subscribe to Secrets Inside the Mind if you haven't already. I am here every single day with a new conversation, and I don't want you to miss what's coming next. Subscribe right now. Let's finish this together. Compliment 5. The compliment that honors what she has survived. This compliment requires more than the others. It requires that you have been paying enough attention to understand something real about who this woman is beneath the surface. But when you have done that work, this compliment creates something that goes beyond attraction. It creates trust. I can tell you've been through things that would have broken most people, and the fact that you're still this warm, still this open, says everything about who you are. Let me explain why this one sits in a category of its own. A woman who has reached her 40s or 50s has almost certainly survived things that required real courage, heartbreak, loss, reinvention, the kind of challenges that leave marks, not visible ones, but the ones you carry in how you move through the world. And almost never does anyone look at her and acknowledge the cost of remaining open through all of it. When a man does that, when he looks at a woman and sees not just who she is today, but the courage it took to become her, he is giving her something almost no one else gives. He is witnessing her story, not the curated version, the real one. Being truly witnessed is one of the most profound experiences one human being can offer another. This compliment should never be delivered early in a connection. It requires genuine knowledge of what she has carried. But when that knowledge is real, when you say this from honest observation rather than performance, the effect is unlike anything else. Compliment 6, the one most men are too afraid to say. We have arrived at the final compliment. This is the most powerful one on this list, and it also requires the most honesty and the most courage to deliver. Most men sense this compliment is available to them. They feel it, but they don't say it because it feels too vulnerable, too direct, too exposed. And that is exactly why, when a man says it with genuine calm and masculine composure, it lands the way it does. Here is the compliment. I want to be honest with you about something. The way you make me feel when I'm around you, more settled, more like myself, that's rare, and I don't take it lightly. Or a simpler version, there's a part of me that feels calmer in your presence than I do almost anywhere else. I thought you should know that. Now let me explain why this is in a category entirely its own. Every other compliment on this list moves in one direction, from you toward her. You are observing something about her and reflecting it back. That is powerful, but this compliment moves in a completely different direction. This is an act of honest self-disclosure. You are not telling her what you see in her. You are telling her what she does to you. You are revealing the effect she has on your inner world, not your attraction to her appearance, but the specific, intimate way her presence changes your experience of yourself. When a man admits that a woman makes him feel more himself, not in a needy way, not in a way that makes her responsible for his emotional state, but simply as a calm, honest statement of something real, she receives two messages at once. The first message is about her. She learns that her presence has the power to create peace in someone, that her energy, her warmth, her specific way of being in the world reaches something inside a man that he doesn't access easily. The second message is about him. She sees a man who is secure enough in himself to admit that someone else has affected him, a man who doesn't need to perform invulnerability, a man who can say something real without losing his composure. That combination, a man who is strong enough to be honest and honest enough to show strength, is magnetic in a way that bypasses every other kind of attraction. The delivery of this compliment is absolutely critical. It cannot come from anxiety. It cannot come from needing something in return. It has to be offered the way you would state a quiet observation, calmly, steadily, without drama, because the power of it is not in the emotion. The power is in the honesty, bringing it all together. Here is what ties all six of these compliments together, and it is just as important as the specific words themselves. Every single one of these works for the same reason. They are specific, honest, and delivered from genuine observation rather than performance. None of them are lines you memorize and use. They are all expressions of what happens when a man actually pays attention, when he is truly present with another person rather than running a social script. This is why the foundation of all of this is real self-development. A man who is genuinely present with another person is a man who has done the inner work to be present with himself first. The compliments themselves are almost secondary. The real gift is the quality of attention behind them. Women are not responding to the sentence. They are responding to the man who was present enough to observe what the sentence is describing. Stop focusing on what to say. Start focusing on how fully you are actually paying attention. When you are genuinely present, genuinely curious, genuinely interested in seeing a person clearly, the right words come naturally because they are simply the honest expression of what you have actually noticed. And honesty, delivered with masculine composure and genuine presence, is the most attractive force that exists. Outro. Here are the 6 compliments that reach a woman at the level of her soul. Number 1, honor her presence. There's something about the way you carry yourself. I feel it. Number 2, honor her mind. The way you think. I find it genuinely one of the most attractive things about you. Number 3, honor her authenticity. You don't pretend, you're just real, and that is rare. Number 4, honor her energy. There's an energy you carry that I don't feel often. It stays with me. Number 5, honor her resilience. The fact that you're still this open, still this warm, after everything, that says everything about who you are. Number 6, honor what she does to you. I feel more like myself when I'm around you. I thought you should know that. Use these not as tactics, but as honest expressions of what you have genuinely observed. Say them with composure. Say them slowly. Say them from truth rather than performance. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 6 resonated the most? Which one feels like the biggest stretch to say out loud? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I genuinely care about what you share. If this video gave you something real today, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Secrets Inside the Mind if you haven't already. I'm Liza. I'm here every single day. I'll see you tomorrow.